So, if we get started, first of all, thank you for spending the time to talk to us about your upcoming
My pleasure.
keynote. And for our delegates, would love to hear a little bit more about you, and especially your work coaching CEOs.
Sure, absolutely. So, one of the things that I will share with you, Irina, is that, and some people are aware of this, I relaunched my business only 6 years ago. I'm 61 years old, so I made a decision at 55 to go back and do what I was put on the earth to do. I had my own business, Irina, from age 30 to 40. Mm-hmm. It was a moderately successful 10 years, to be quite honest with you. It was not the big breakthrough, and there's all kinds of reasons for it. I think the biggest reason was I was probably more selfish. I felt like I could do everything myself. I perhaps did not surround myself with really great people. But I did write 2 books during that time frame. I wrote a book called Success Yourself that came out in 1997. Mm-hmm. And when it came out, it was a massive failure. The irony of the story, though, is that book, if it had never been written, I would have never had the opportunity to work with Steve Jobs, because lo and behold, in 2009, he picked up the book and he read my book. And in that book was an assessment called the MLEI, and he took the assessment. That led to my coaching with him. So in 2009, 2010, with that coaching assignment, plus all the work that I was doing in the corporate world, it moved me in the direction of I need to go relaunch my business. So the last 6 years, I've been very busy writing books, building my brand as a coach, as an executive coach. And now I work primarily at the CEO level. I also work with government leaders. I can't name names because a lot of these are very confidential. And I never envisioned that this would happen just 6 years ago. You know, I always had a vision that I would be able to do hopefully really good things and help leaders. I did not have the vision that my brand would humbly grow to what it is today. So I pinch myself every morning when I wake up. I really do.
Sounds a fascinating story, and I'm sure our delegates will be looking forward to hearing more.
Yes.
At the conference. Tell me, what can they expect during your keynote?
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share, since we've got so many great coaches in the audience, I'm going to share with them a little bit of the journey that I just talked about, providing them hopefully with an incentive, a motivation to never give up, to be incredibly resilient. This is a very, very tough business. The good news is, though, and you know this, coaching's growing all over the world, and we've got an incredible opportunity before us to help leaders and future leaders get better. We have such a massive leadership gap out there. And in many respects, you know, training programs and retreats and sending executives to university management development programs, all of those things are fantastic. But in the end, to move the needle with a leader, as a coach, you've got to help them go deep inside. And I'm going to talk about how I do that and have been able to do it, I think, successfully with a lot of executives to help them think differently about how they think about leadership. Talk about a process that I use to do that, and it really does start with helping leaders think differently and think big, counterbalanced by a heavy dose of vulnerability and humility, which is not easy for a lot of leaders to be humble. Irina, I think that's the key right there, is the counterbalancing of breakthrough thinking, exploding comfort zones, having the courage to do that, but also don't get carried away with that. And we've got way too many leaders with the overactive ego who push that envelope too much. And what they do is they tear down the people around them. Mm-hmm. and they don't get the breakthroughs they could. So I'm going to talk about certain tenets, I believe, of executive coaching that have really yielded success for me, and how I've been able to grow my brand to what it is today. And I think there's no question, thinking differently, thinking big, vulnerability, helping leaders be courageous, helping leaders recognize that the mindset of having a privileged mindset is so vitally important, that, you know, don't ever take anything for granted. Wake up every single day, recognize that you've got this amazing privilege to help other people break through to become the best that they can be. It's about helping leaders recognize that leadership's all about touching hearts, minds, and souls. You know, that's what I want to bring to the audience. I hope that resonates. I think it will.
It does. I'm really looking forward to hearing more.
Thank you.
What do you think our delegates can do to prepare for the keynote? Is there anything that would help them make the most of it?
Well, I just think that, you know, given the people who are going to be there, I'm expecting, since I do a lot of work with coaches, I'm expecting people with a really open mindset. And I'm probably going to be looking at people who have certain traits that I actually measure these in the MLEI, and I see really effective coaches, Irina, possessing these traits. One is the trait of altruism. And coaches, if you're really going to be effective, you've got to be incredibly courteous and compassionate and altruistic, right? Those are the igniters. I think to building bonds with people. And I think the second one is, I call it the trait of being a disciple. And so what is that? It's a person who's very trusting, very loyal, very, very other-oriented. I see that very active and really effective coach. And I think the third is very team-oriented, very us. Coaching is a partnership. So I think if the delegates come with an open mindset and a vulnerability, I guess, right? A vulnerability to kind of hearing my story. I'm going to be really honest, you know, with everybody, that the person that they're looking at, it hasn't been a straight line. There have been a lot of setbacks, right? And a lot of people look at me, you know, because I certify coaches all over the world, and they look at me and they say, boy, you've got this incredible brand, and what have you been able to do in the 6 years? It's been incredibly hard work, right? I made a personal commitment. I did make a sacrifice, you know. It's not easy to write books. You know, I've written 3 bestsellers in the last 6 years. There's a lot of capable coaches out there. I see a lot of them who don't write enough, you know. They're not, you don't need to write a book, but you gotta put your point of view out there. I see so many and then they call me and they say, why am I not getting business? And I say, well, let me ask you this. Do you have a blog? You know, and they'll say, no, I don't write a blog. You know what I'm saying? So those are the things I want to bring to the group, that, listen, I'm pretty much a basic guy. I really am. I just made a commitment. That's it.
Okay, great. I'm really looking forward to hearing all this, hearing more, and meeting you in person. It's just another 30 days to go now. So
I know.
That's going to be absolutely great.
I know. I can't wait, Irina. I really appreciate the opportunity. This is wonderful.